Whether you realize it or not, part of what makes it so uncomfortable to be here when you have come in as light workers, as volunteers, to help this planet and her children, your human brothers and sisters, ascend. And you have put your hand up for that, because that's why you're sitting here. You wouldn't even be here if you weren't one of the volunteers that said, yep, I'll come down, I'll do it, right? And you want to be here. You know, it's an honour to be here at this time, but it is also really challenging sometimes, right? Because we come from a place, and our home and our true nature and the true nature of every being on this planet when they're not enslaved by falsehoods is the most exquisite, divine, pure love that words can't even describe. We call it munne in the Andean traditions, but there actually aren't any words for it. You couldn't begin to really do it any justice with any kind of explanation. It's a transmission, it's a feeling, and I know that every one of you has touched that and will continue to touch that. And the touching of that and the hanging out in that state will become more and more permanent. You know, this is also why we are doing the work that we're doing, why we're working with the sacred medicines, why we're working with these beautiful heart-opening medicines like Mama Cacao, like Maestro Wuchuma, like all of the sacred plants, and with modalities like breath work and music and dance and all of the things that bring us back to remembering and anchoring ourselves in that true nature that we are, in that centre. So when we bop around the false matrix, which means this simulation that we are in, that on some level it's controlled. There's things happening here that we know aren't the truth, and when we're here and we know our true nature and we know what we've come to do, but we're constantly getting bombarded with the falsehoods and what it's not, because we know that heaven is on this earth. We know that that's what we're here to bring through. It's not somewhere else, it's not out there, right? It's for us to remember this and awaken to this true nature while we're here. So as this is moving on the inside of you, it means that anything that isn't of that truth has to go. And it's gnarly, because when it comes up, it can feel like there's an earthquake happening inside of you. Anyone get that feeling? It's like the ground is going underneath your feet, your nervous system is shaking, you may feel like you have been buried under layers of concrete and you are struggling to get your way out. Anyone feeling that? And you know in your heart of hearts that that's not the truth. You absolutely know it. But what you are feeling is the density in the physical matrix and in the human body. You are feeling the density of those heavy energies, those heavy emotions that have all served a purpose. They are all helping to push you. They're helping to squeeze you. They're helping to pop you through. But to pop us through, it's kind of like the house of cards has got to fall. The chrysalis has to be pushed open by the butterfly. You know that metaphor, and you know that if you cut a chrysalis and help a butterfly out, she dies, right? That struggle, that like, fuck, when is this going to end, you know? You think that the butterfly, the caterpillar inside, on some level isn't like, what the hell is happening here? I have just been totally metamorphosed and now I've got to push my way out, you know? But that metaphor is so profound. It's such a gift from the Creator to give us the butterfly, right? Because we see it so tangibly in front of our face, not just with the butterfly, but with everything in nature shows us this. Everything in nature. And we are nature. We are it. There is no separation between the waters, the air, the earth, the fire, the ether, and you, and me, and us. There is no separation. Your bones are forged from every fire that has been on this planet, especially the original fire. The waters, the plankton, the first life on this earth, the first life on this planet is in your blood. It's in the water in your body. Can you believe that? I mean, really, this is incredible when you really stop and think about it. Where did you come from? You were forged by the elements. The very first winds that were on this Pachamama were you. The very, very first microbiome in the soil that made everything grow also made you grow. So we are a part of everything, and we can learn from the elements. We can learn from nature. We can also take a lot of comfort. It also makes it challenging because as all of this stuff is breaking down inside of us, guess what? It's also happening around us. And that can be very, very challenging because often it feels out of our control and like there's nothing that we can do about it. But there again, what we're being asked to do is to lean into the remembering of the power of Pachamama, the power of her guardians. Who are her guardians? The Apus, they're also our guardians, and the elements. These beings are on call. They're like doctors on their 24-hour night shift. They go 24 hours, 24/7. And they are ready and they are waiting for Mother Earth to give the directive of, my children are out of balance, this planet is out of balance, you need to go now, right? And what happens is we see natural disasters. We see heavy floods, heavy rains. We see earthquakes, we see fires, we see tsunamis, and we grieve for what is lost in those times. But the end game of that is what happens, and I know I've said this to you before, what is the result of that breaking down, that process is unity. It brings everyone together. It gets the humans back on the same page. It wakes them up to how they've been treating each other, how they've been treating the earth. And during these processes, there are very brave souls, not just human souls, but animal souls as well, that put their hand up because they also knew that they were here for a part of this great awakening, and they put their hand up to leave. And that's not easy for us to witness or to understand, but I always just praise and give thanks and say thank you to these brave souls that were the ones that said, you know, yep, we'll be a part of the ones that need to leave to help the ones that are there to remember, to wake up. I think that we are going to get to a point, and I think we will see it in this lifetime. I think, honestly, we have no idea what's coming. I think that we sometimes hear about this great flash of light or this solar flash. That's going to happen. And two things will happen. Half the planet are going to go in fear, and the other half are going to go, thank God it's arrived. Because that is going to be, we're already getting it in the solar flares, right? The element of fire. We're getting the solar flares that are coming from the sun that started in 2018. I mean, they've been having the M-class solar flares for on and off for many, many, many years. This is NASA. You can check this up. This is not woo-woo, it's science. And in 2018, they started having these X-class solar flares that they measure like the Richter scale, like an earthquake. That is the level of impact that they have. And we have had the strongest in this year we've had the strongest X-class solar flares that we have experienced to date, and there are more coming. So these balls of fire carry what fire carries: intelligence, wisdom, information, the power of transmutation and transmutation. Because our job here as alchemists, because that's what you are, you're alchemists. What do alchemists do? They transform, don't they? You don't, as an alchemist, you don't need to protect or push away. You transform the metal into gold. You transform the heavy energy into light, right? Because everything is in service to that at the end of the day. Even the beings that think that they are in control for their own means are all still in service to the light. They just don't know it yet, but they are. So these elemental forces are, and nature are working within us in the same way that they work for Pachamama. Because your soul, your essence in its infinite wisdom, in its divinity, in its knowing and remembering beyond your conscious mind that you are Mother Earth, you have the same intelligence within you. And so when something is out of balance in your being, your higher self, that is all that is the earth, that is the cosmos, that is the great ascended masters, that is the light, goes to work at moving the elements in your body, calling in the fire of transformation, calling in the rumble of the earthquake when you're not listening, calling in the waters to cleanse and purify, release, liberate, let go, and to bless and bring in newness, freshness, rebirth, new light, calling in the waiter, the air into your being so that you breathe, you remember to breathe. You remember that the air carries wisdom, that the air is life, that when you first arrived here on our beautiful Pachamama, the first thing you did was receive. You took a breath in. You activated receiving, right? And then the last thing that you do when we leave our Pachamama is you give with your breath out, right? So we're taking in while we're here. And that's why I say so often, to be very conscious about what we are taking in, and to be very conscious about what we are giving out. And it is not easy. No one is saying that this process is easy, but it is the process of awareness for us to be aware of, even if we're stuck in it, It's very easy when we are moving through that crunchiness and that metamorphosis and that squeezing where it feels like we're being squeezed from the inside and simultaneously sometimes from the outside at the same time, to just question everything and want to give it all up and go, bugger this, this is too uncomfortable, I didn't put my hand up for this, I want to go home. Anyone ever said that? I've had enough, I want to go home. And you feel homesickness? Normal. Light workers, chosen ones, meaning that you are the ones that have chosen, feel homesick because you get flabbergasted and exhausted and tired that why the hell aren't they getting it yet, right? Anyone get that? Why the hell aren't they getting it yet? What is all this rubbish? Like, I go through periods where I don't want to put anything on social media. I don't want to look at it. I don't want it because I'm just like, it's so, and then other times I'm like, when I'm sharing, when I'm feeling like I have something of value to share and like there's some wisdom popped through, then I'll share from that place, Because I realised the other day too, is we have to be really careful about what frequency we are in when we're sharing on social media. Because if you've got something running inside of you and you're sharing and even if you're trying to pretend to be all happy and light, but it's running inside of you, that's what you're putting out. That's your aini. So we're always, as medicine women, medicine men, we are working with a constant awareness of whether we are generating hucha aini or sami aini. Hucha aini means we're unconsciously putting a vibration out there, even if it's not through our thoughts, through our words that we're saying, but it's a feeling and a frequency because that is what we're going to receive back ultimately. So we just need to be aware of it. Aini is always returning, nothing ever goes one way.